Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this very informative briefing this morning from Positive Media. I must say I found those slides that were initially put up on what's happening out there and with what we should be doing looking forward in terms of advertising really valuable. What I was going to talk about today was, so I have a large group of budget franchises in Victoria, but I'm also chairman of the Licensee Council for Budgets. So I have weekly Zoom meetings with everyone and the other licensees interstate, and so I really know what's going on there. So what I'm seeing there is that as soon as states come out of lockdown, there is an immediate increase in business. So if we have a look at WA is on fire. Despite the airports being way down on business, rent-a-car over there is running at 95% utilisation. So that means the local market is absorbing that. You can't buy new cars in WA or second-hand cars. The market has gone silly. You've got people buying cars out of Tasmania and Victoria and having shipped over there. There is just huge demand. And part of that is driven by, you have people drawing down on superannuation. You also have the increase in JobKeeper and Job Seeker there. And the people weren't able to spend this money whilst in lockdown. So there's a lot of money out there. NAB are telling me that this month, September compared to September last year, both business and private bank accounts had 20% more cash in them. So there is this money out there that's just waiting to be spent. What we know is since when South Australia, when they opened the borders to New South Wales last weekend, the increase in bookings has been significant there. So again, it's an immediate effect on it. Our problem, of course, in Victoria is the extent and confusion about the lockdown. I mean, a lot of people don't actually know that some things you can actually some businesses are open, but people don't know that. For example, our business is classified as an essential service, but some people don't realise that that we're actually open. So it's pretty important when you're coming out of this thing that you get the message out there that you are open and what you are actually doing. Now, I'm up here in Queensland and I was fortunate to get up here in May, so I've missed what is actually happening in the lockdown there. But what I've been seeing up here in Queensland coming out of the lockdown is that online is here to stay. So if I see the queues at the click and collect at Bunnings, Woolworths, Coles, and also their online delivery vehicles out of the supermarkets, they are flat out. So people are still not fully going back. The major shopping centres like the Westfields and in Brisbane City, there are not the crowds there that used to be. People are still hesitant about actually going out physically shopping. So make sure your strategy is well and truly has online in there and how you can get a hold of people, because there is still a reluctance, as I said. We're also seeing and I hope this changes, that there's quite a few businesses here that are not open full hours. So you've got a lot of cafes, restaurants that are closed for, say, the first 3 days of the week, or they're not open at night or whatever. And I think what's driving that is so they could keep JobKeeper going into this next period. So they wanted to have their turnover down by 30%. And that to me is just a really false way of doing business and doing it. So I would like to think that, as I go out in the next couple of days, I'll see a lot more opened up, because turnover now from the October first thing will actually apply for the quarter into next year. And I think everyone will be thinking, their business will be coming back significantly. What else do we have here? When I go to the movies up here, there's virtually no one in them. Again, people are reluctant to actually go out there. They are concerned about the virus here, even though they're not wearing masks up here. So I think that's something we can expect to still have in Victoria. So they're not going to be out the same as what they used to be. So how are you going to get the message out to get your product to them, and how you're going to deliver that to them? It's going to be a really important thing. In terms of that extra money that businesses have, they've actually got the gunpowder there to actually go and invest in advertising and that. How are you going to get your message out really quickly as soon as the lockdown comes? And what we're seeing is they will introduce some lockdown easement very quickly. So you need to have your ads and your product offering ready to go as soon as that happens. All right, so to get that out there and get your message out there, because, you know, the others will be getting their message out, but I don't think they're going to be up to speed on this. So it's a really important for us to be ahead of the game in that. And as I said, you know, businesses have the cash there to actually go and invest in this. It's time to be looking at that. What else did I have? In terms of that, they're easing criteria on borrowing. And because of the cheap interest rates, there's going to be, you know, the ability for people to spend money. And of course, what you're going to see is the biggest amount of money coming in from the state and federal governments to actually kickstart this. In the GFC, coming out of the GFC was our most profitable time ever, and that was driven by the amount of money that was put into the economy there. So into things like pink bats and all these other things that drove demand out there. We're expecting to see something similar to that coming about it, albeit there will be change in conditions. What we know in rent-a-car is that, you know, people are going to be reluctant to catch public transport the same, so there will be more demand for, you know, using your own vehicle or getting a vehicle. We also think finally our buses will start to move, because they've obviously been decimated because of no schools open and no tourists. Our buses, we think, will be used, you know, so groups and families can get out there, but still being able to have some social distancing in there. I think the other thing that we've got to be aware of, and what we've done is we've aligned ourselves as the #1 brand in terms of Dettol, so cleaning and making sure that your workplace and the vehicles we have are right up to scratch. So our website will have the Dettol logo on it. Our branches will have the Dettol logo. Our cars will have that. All the products will be there. They'll be on the counter. So they know that we're using the best there is to actually keep them safe, but it's also letting our staff know that we're keeping them safe as well. When we open up, your customers have to be able to feel safe to come into your premises and things like that. So, and your staff have to be really safe. So therefore, make sure that aspect is right and you've got that down pat for when the things do open. So I think it's exciting times as soon as this comes off. We see the immediate kickback in it. And, you know, and I would have thought without international tourism and the like that you know, we would be suffering a lot more in the open states than we are. But, you know, the reality is people aren't going overseas. You know, people are spending locally. You know, those retirees who have to take 5% of their money out of super every year, well, they can't go and spend it on the expensive cruise or do anything else. What are they going to spend it on? Because they have to spend it. So, you know, that's a target market that you can work at. I did mention to the crew earlier that, you know, the Lexus dealer up here, you cannot get a Lexus car on the Gold Coast for 4 months. They're all sold out. And it's purely these people who would normally be going overseas. They've got to spend the money, so they're going and buying, you know, a luxury car. And you'll see the figures for luxury car sales in Australia are through the roof. So there is so much opportunity, I believe. We're just got to be ready and actually, you know, on the starting line, ready to go, because when it happens, there's really good opportunities there.